Today I am going to show you the model preparation, adding the missing details, different kinds of painting, adding markings, weathering and some extra stuff for the end just to have the result with this. Hello my friends, this is coldemonspl, I'm Lucas and you can watch it but at your own risk. I'm sure many of you are surprised by this project, and me too. Well, it all came out because I have to wait a while for additional parts for the model I planned for today. This is why this shelf queen has her time for the coming weeks. Rather, it will be a fast project. I bought it from a friend for good money in the same condition as you can see here. The model waited in the line and now it's time to show its potential. And in my opinion it's quite large, even if it doesn't seem so at first glance. After browsing the photos on the internet I found that I definitely need to add a dozen or so parts. By the way, I also found inspiration to paint, but more on that in a moment. So I started working without wasting the time. The first thing I did was dismantle the model into elements that weren't glued. There wasn't much of it, both cabins, wheels and a few details like wipers, fork elements, and that's it. I quickly cleaned everything from dust and the first thing I decided to do was the missing hydraulic pipes. As you can see, it will be difficult to insert them because there is little space for free access, but I can do it somehow. A soldering wire is best for this purpose because it's soft and easy to lay. 0.5 mm for the thinner pipes and 0.7 for the one thicker. The correct positioning is a real challenge because I had only two photos where you could see anything. Not everything, but fortunately I figured out how to arrange the wires. Another problem is that the wire is very soft. Of course, its flexibility is a great advantage to use it here, but it's easy to damage it with tweezers. I had to lay these 5 cables for about 2 hours due to the closed space in which they were placed. In normal conditions where the model is unbuilt is much faster. I can say, challenge completed. I didn't even think that it couldn't be done, but there are a lot of models on the internet where it's missing. In a quick summary I will show you all the elements that I added. Wire covers for the headlights, imitation of the rear view mirror holder, hydraulic pipes, vents, chains at the front and rear, a board for the tactical unit markings, handle and chain on the lifting arm, indicator. Now I can prepare the model for painting. Of course I will use the model degreaser. For those who don't know yet, it's a preparation that removes all dirt from the surface of the model. Effectively prepares surfaces for the application of the undercoat paint and increases its adhesion. The product evaporates instantly and painting is possible after a few minutes. Of course it can be used on plastic, resin and photo-etched elements. I decided to use different shades of green, from dark to light. So nothing new, but it produced good results. The first color is XF11, very dark and ideal for what I wanted to achieve. A bit of acrylic doctor and you can paint it easily. After the first layer I brightened the surface with XF26, then by adding a bit of XF71 I did a little color modulation. As I mentioned earlier, while browsing the internet for inspiration and references, I found this photo. The difference between the cabin and fuselage is clear, and this is how I plan to paint my model. The first try with XF73 wasn't successful, but when I added a little white, it turned out perfectly. The color difference is big and it looks cool. I tinted it a little more with white and added highlights, so now after the main colors application, I call it done. I have a habit of painting the main colors of the vehicle first and then starting to color the details, and so I did now. The first was the spare wheel, and of course I painted all of the wheels with the rubber color which is tested in the past and do the job perfectly. Then the chain in black and hydraulic pipes also in the color of the tires. The ball of the indicator is white and the whole bar is silver. The exhaust required a sheet metal cover to be torn off, then I painted it with mixture of whole red and green brown. A bit of contrast when it comes to the lower parts of the model is also needed. The fuel canister in bright green does the job. I covered the light with clear red and clear orange. In total there is no need to think about it because they will be dusty anyway, and the entire transparent effect is completely unnecessary. The spare wheel was already dry, so I decided to paint stripes on it, which means a new tire not used on any vehicle yet. But how to do it to be fairly even? Masking tape should do the trick. A thin strip glued around the tire will serve as a ruler to evenly paint the white stripes. All imperfections can be easily covered with the first color. I painted the second strip in exactly the same way, but before that I waited for the ones painted at the beginning to dry properly. To make the surface even brighter, the small elements have been colored with lighter shade of green. Quite contrasting, but thanks to this they emphasize individual details. A matter of taste, some like it, others don't. I left the painting for a while and glued the driver's cab door, because I didn't want to show the interior even though I painted it in basic colors. As you can see, the door itself remains in the color of the hull of the vehicle, which also contrasts nicely with the grey color of the cabin. I put a little pigment on the floor of both cabins. I saw this effect and it's common in the real vehicles which stay in service. After applying the dust, it was stuck with a few drops of thinner and dried with the accelerator. I glued both cabins with a few drops of thin AK glue. And now, as everything was painted in the base colors, I covered the model and in particular the places where the decals were to be applied with a glossy varnish. There were no stickers in my model, but I got them from my friend Charlie. Thanks a lot, mate. I cut out the necessary set of markings and glued them to the model. The decals are very good quality, they don't tear and fit nicely on the model. The only drawback is that the manufacturer could try harder and add more markings that can be seen on the reference photos, which he probably also had access to. Nameplates, wheel pressure markings, crane markings and other technical descriptions on the vehicles. I think it wasn't difficult, but maybe someone forgot to put them on the set. These two photos show the direction I wanted to go with my model weathering. Dirty, dusty with liquid stains, paint peeled off on the fork and minimal scratches, although muffler will receive special treatment. In addition, the wheels are very dirty. So for me it's a tasty piece of modeling. Of course, first the wash, for which I used industrial dirt and Modeler's World thinner. Normally applied in all nooks and crannies, it has a job to do, but I also use it to make stains and streaks. It worked perfectly. After drying, I started painting of the dirt inspired by the photos I showed a moment ago. It's characteristic that the doors are stained from the handle down and on the bottom edge, caused by the dirty hands of the driver and the second crew soldier. It's seen very often in the reference pictures. Of course, I'm not talking about new vehicles, but about those that have already served a bit and haven't seen a bath for a long time. I used two oil paints for this, dark grey and black. Both diluted with a thinner and blended on the surface gave a great effect. The same paints were also used to smear the elements of the lift with lubricants imitation. In the photos this mechanism is generally very dirty, so I decided to do it on my model. A bit of rust here and there also came in handy. When we are at the lift, it's time to take care of it a bit. First I painted the remnants of yellow paint, which was definitely faster than using hairspray or other technique. Just the amount of this color wasn't so large as to involve heavy artillery in shooting down a fly. It took me 2 minutes to paint it. Then with a dark brown and sponge I made an imitation of the peeled paint, which was also very easy as the fork is generally all scuffed. Now a soft pencil will do a great polished steel effect, especially on the edges where it's essential. Everything turned out great. The pencil was also used to polish the lift chains. After rubbing they looked much better and more natural. Now some chipping on the muffler. The photos show how often it's eaten by rust, especially in the upper parts. This is also how I started painting the chips with dark brown paint. I covered them more with a rust colored filter, and of course I used oil paint. Irregular small spots are best done with speckling. Black diluted oil paint was perfect for this. As if it wasn't enough, I decided to apply stains on the roofs of both cabins to destroy the bright surface and introduce a little confusion. Diluted oil paints again did the job as before. Fast drying with accelerator complete this stage. And we can apply a matte coat. I recently used premium varnish from Modeler's World, which is super efficient and gives a very good surface. Just apply straight from the bottle without any dilution and we have a model that is protected for many years. It's time to remove the masking tape from the windows, and here came the problem. It was hard to get to all the places on the individual panels to wipe the masking tape glue off. This is another reason why it's not advisable to stick such sections together before painting. Now we can proceed to making a typical dusty vehicle. Dirty dust weathering paint will be great for this task. The proper mixing so that the pigment is perfectly distributed in the bottle and we are ready to go. The bottom of the vehicle has been covered at different angles so that everything is painted. It's an ideal base for applying pigments. I did the same on the wheels. 2 thin layers were enough. I put the pigment on the prepared surface, especially in the inner wheel arches. I put more of it to make dry and sticky mud. Everything was soaked with thinner and dried with the accelerator. In addition, without making lumps of mud, I dust the rest of the chassis, and this is also covered with thinner. This photo was the inspiration to make the dirt on the wheels. I really like the effect of the dry mud on the tires. It looks great and proves it works in difficult conditions. I covered the rims with a thinner and trim filter. It was enough. I didn't want to cover all the rims with mud. Then I dusted the treat with pigment and rubbed with my finger. Yes, I know I'm professional, but it works. Now the most visible part of the tire, which I stained quite a bit with the pigment. I fixed it and applied the pigment again. Easy peasy. Painting the brake discs, which I almost forgot, was a second, and I could start dusting the upper parts of the vehicle. It was not a big philosophy or rocket science, so here I will leave you for a while and prepare a little drink for myself. Okay, a bit of polishing on the steps and wiper arms. It's hard to do with your left hand. A smudge of salt at the end of exhaust pipe and... yeah. Such a color detail for the whole dirty vehicle will be interesting for sure. I decided to throw Eureka XXL plastic containers in the basket at the back. I also prepared 2 tarps for them, for which I used previously painted pieces of paper, exactly like on the Feldumschlaggerat. I soaked them in pigment, cement and water and folded quite carelessly. Okay guys, guess what my model can't do without? Chain! Even more so a vehicle of such character as this one. I put a small piece on already arranged tarps and soaked it with the previously used glue. Quick accelerator work and done. Before I show you the last thing I did on the model, I would like to thank my patrons who supported me this month. Thank you so much guys, you are cool. The totally last thing to do are the stains and the leaks on the bottom of the vehicle. The dark brown wash is perfect for this effect because it absorbs pigment and creates natural looking stains. Just take a look at the finished model and let me know in the comment what do you think about it. And that's all for today, my friends. Thanks for watching, see you next time, cheers!